parts of our state with regards to, legal functions and the like. I have to tell you, it's a complete honor for Maura and I to have you on the show tonight.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Happy to be invited.
Well, pleasure is ours. So, tell us. I mean, this is we have a historical month.
Yeah.
Who in your life as someone that was a mentor of yours? Now you practice private law over at Garen Lukow, was it?
Yep.
And then
I did.
And then after that, you ran for the Supreme Court. You won. Now, then you became the chief judge. Who in your life? I mean, you've had kind of like this trajectory that's been amazing.
Yeah.
Who in your life has been huge to you? Who laid that impact on you?
A lot of people. Currently, right now, I do have to give a shout out to my fellow lady justices, Justice Welch and Justice Thomas and Justice Bolden. We have a majority of women on our current court, and for a couple months last year, we had a supermajority of 5 women on the court, which was amazing. I think
that is very cool.
Female majorities only happened about 4 times, maybe 5 times in the history of the court. But I've had so many people that helped me sort of achieve this dream that I get, this dream job that I have of being Chief Justice. Obviously, first and foremost would have been my dad, Justice Michael Kavanaugh, who served for over 30 years.
Sure.
And, so basically my entire life I grew up with an appreciation and respect for the bench and the work that a justice does. And I always got to give him a little shout out on the day before St. Patrick's Day. We lost him last year. We do, yes. We lost him last year.
No. You do have an Irish name, maybe a little, just a touch.
I do.
Yeah.
I do, yes. But really, when I did appellate practice for a little over 15 years before I ran for the Supreme Court, and my mentor, the woman who started the appellate department at my law firm, was a woman named Roz Rockhind. And I don't think that, surprisingly, we had a few men, but it was mostly women in the appellate department. She started the department at the firm, and she was a mom of 3 young kids at the time, and said, "This is, this is how I need to do this job." And the firm was lucky to have her and accommodated that, and it made it a really welcoming place, especially for young moms and female attorneys to really get great experience and do good work. So I was very fortunate to have learned from really one of the best in the appellate world. But yeah.
I don't think men understand that concept. I'm not going to lie to you.
Which concept?
That being a mom and being, full-time gig, right?
Yeah.
As a work, because there's 2 parts to it. It's literally when you get a client and the client comes in and says, "What do you do?" "I'm a mom." Well, that's a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm.
That's a full-time.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It is. And I will say, that's really, I love appellate law. But it really, that kind of practice really was conducive to being a working mom, that you could do a lot of sort of remote work right before it was cool, before COVID.
Right.
And, it's research and writing and reading. And so after you put kids to bed, you could pick up your briefs again and go back to work. You weren't having to be in court, all day, every day sort of thing. But so it was a really great practice for a working mom.
Well, and how cool that she led the groundwork to have your firm understand the value of keeping her and the value of, she's going to do it a little bit differently maybe than it's been done in the past. Right. But like, oh my goodness, we get this great work and this amazing lawyer out of it. So
absolutely,
it made a space where you could do that. That's really awesome.
Yeah. And kudos to my firm for recognizing that too.
Yes.
Right.
That the value in that. Yeah.
Well, I've gone up against your firm many of times. Was John Galuli over there?
He is.
He
still is.
I love John. Love John.
Yeah.
He kicked my tuchus many of times, but that's okay. So I did the opposite.
My good friend Nick Caponegger's over there too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Yeah,
can
he's
tell
a
No.
great
you.
lawyer, great
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, lots of great people from
Yeah.
that firm. For sure.
Yeah. And I will say, I think all of my female colleagues, they're all working moms still. I mean, Justice Bolden has a little one, all the way from, a couple of years old to in their 20s and grown and gone. But, you know,
Sure.
so we all have a wide variety of experiences working moms.
So we're going to come back after this, but I want you to think about who would you put on Mount Rushmore? I got to say Ruth
Mm.
Bader Ginsburg, but who would you put on Mount Rushmore if we could do that? We'll be right back just after this with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the State of Michigan, Justice Kavanaugh. We'll be right back. Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. Justice Kavanaugh, Maura and I have been thrown around, kind of banting about several things, but our Mount Rushmores of who we would have up there of women in our lives or women that we just think, deserve to be up on Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
In your perspective, who would you put up there? And from all facets, you personally or someone that's made an impact in the country.
Yeah. So I would say if for Michigan's Mount Rushmore, and obviously sort of Supreme Court related, I would put my two predecessors, former Chief Justice Bridget McCormick and former
Sure.
Chief Justice Elizabeth Clement. And part of the reason why I would is they really, I always like to emphasize, I think a lot of people understand and know, the work that we do in issuing opinions and deciding cases. But what's less well known is the important administrative work that we do, right? And as Supreme Court justices, and I think Justice McCormick and Justice Clement really have sort of set the standard for how important that work is. Very few people get their case in front of the Michigan Supreme Court, where most people interact with our justice system is in our trial courts. And so our jobs as justices is to make sure that that those trial courts are doing the work that they need to do, that they have the support and the resources and the guidance and so that has really been a big focus and a big shift, I think, of our court, of really putting in a lot of work on the administrative side of supporting our trial judges and seeing what happens every day in our trial courts, and really trying to make sure that people are getting that justice. I laugh because I have the perspective of my dad having served, and he would say, we never really did that stuff back then.
Right.
When he
You know,
was on, but he said, we should have. And we do a lot of it now. We all are really, really engaged. It's a lot of work, but it's amazing work because you can really have a more direct impact on people's lives. So,
I got to tell you, I could be devil's advocate on this because I think you're brilliant, and I think you
hmm
should be, writing in amazing opinions. And I've read some of your most recent opinions, and I'm in, I'm all in. But the administration part, that is so much work.
Well, and
hmm
sincerely, you took the bench, or you took the court in 2019. So all of the things you had to deal with COVID, with how to even conceptualize how the Justice Department would keep going, how litigation would keep going despite this, global pandemic. I mean, you really got right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really were very fortunate. I mean, Chief Justice McCormick was chief during that time, and we thankfully had just less than 6 months before the pandemic hit, we had gotten Zoom licenses for all of our trial judges. Thank God, right? And
Right.
so
How would we
really,
have
really
functioned?
impressive how they were able to really make sure that justice didn't get delayed, right? So many of our trial courts were able to switch and still accommodate people online. Was it perfect? No, nobody, none of it was. And we all learned a lot of things from it, right? And our new reality is
For
shaped by
sure.
that too. But yeah, but that, again, kudos to our trial judges and our state court administrative office for the support that they gave. We have a really great team. We're very fortunate in Michigan. We have a lot of great people working to make sure that our justice system works the way that it should.
No question about it. I think your team is incredible, and the thing about it is, you have to be reliant on the circuit court judges, their administrators, all the way down to the district courts.
hmm
You have so much work to do. It seems impossible to me that you tackle it all, but you can't do it without having a great coach, a great captain, a great team, and
Right.
putting it all together. So I don't know, it makes my head dizzy to think of all the hats you have to wear. You know,
It's a lot. It's a lot right now. Certainly, with Chief Justice is a job on top of being a justice, but it really is great to have the ability to see just the amazing work that so many people in our organization are doing, and to help shape that. And but yeah, like I said, I think Chief Justice McCormick and Chief Justice Clement really sort of set a standard, and made it sort of easy to follow along and make sure that we continue on that great work. So
I,
they'd be on my Mount Rushmore in Michigan.
I know them both. I admire them both. They're friends of
Mhm.
mine. I think they're great.
Mhm.
And they did great work. Now, in the bigger scheme of things, someone that you got inspired by when you were younger, other than your pops, who was amazing. Um,
Mhm.
someone that you looked up to, to Kill a Mockingbird type
Right?
place, you know what I mean?
Atticus.
Someone that inspired you in the female world that you said, wow, that's someone I admire to be.
Yeah, I think, gosh, again, there's so many. I would put Ruth Bader Ginsburg up there, Sandra Day O'Connor, the first woman on the U.S. Supreme Court. They were the original. If you can't see it, you can't be it. And they, they would be the inspiration. And today, honestly, I'm so happy. I have 3 daughters. 2 daughters, a stepdaughter, and just in their late teens, and they're just amazing to see, the next generation of what they're doing. And I love the fact that, having 4 women on the Michigan Supreme Court is like no big deal to them, right? That's just their life.
That's norm.
And it's hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
That's
love
normal,
it.
and it's great. Or women, running all the branches of state government.
Do you know,
That's just their norm.
my son actually, he was several years ago, and he met a male judge. I knew, several, all these female judges that he met, and he looked at me once he met this judge, and he said, "Are boys allowed to be judges?" And I thought, what a great worldview.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
That's really changed sometimes.
Yes, now we allow them to.
Yeah. When could women vote? What year was that?
Yeah.
The white women, 20 something.
Yeah,
Oh
I think
man,
so.
I'm
Yeah,
ruining it.
yeah. Well, I mean, seriously, what a great perspective.
Yes, I was like, yes.
Right?
As a matter of fact, they do. Yeah, they're allowed to.
Yeah, are men allowed to be on the bench? That's a classic. So I can see. I actually met Sandra Day O'Connor, and I didn't get to meet Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but I was a big admirer. And what's really was cool was her relationship with Scalia.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you had polar opposites in political views and in thinking of things, but they were best of buddies. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that doesn't come easily, right? We're a nonpartisan branch, and Michigan has its own system that has some partisan politics injected into it, and the elective process. But we work really hard. I can honestly say, all of my colleagues, and I don't think that was always the case on our court, but we work really hard to make sure that doesn't bleed in, and that we can disagree agreeably and respect the other's opinions. And that's really that's what people want from their justice system. Right?
No, I hear you. All right. So I would not bring up cases. I'm not going to, but I do want you to change governmental immunity if you could, by chance. Maybe change a couple rules here or there. But I will. Being I don't want to get into it, but I do want to.
Probably best. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I won't. I won't. Drives me nuts. Just to, so and I fall in the middle of things. But regardless of all of that, listeners, we have a huge audience, over 100,000 listeners. What people I don't think grasp is how much work you put into when you're deciding a case, and how many cases you read, the stare decisis, the precedents, the oral arguments, all of the things that the landscape of a case from, where it came from and to how many hours does it take to be a Supreme Court justice let's say you got one case coming in front of you. How much, how much time do you spend on a case and studying it and understanding it? So our listeners can say, oh my, I don't want that job.
Yeah. Just to get up to speed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a lot. And the reality is, right, that if it's up in front of us, it's because it's a hard case, right? And because there have been differing opinions, a lot of different judges have looked at it and had their hands on it and may have come to differing opinions, right? If it were an easy case, it wouldn't be up in front of the Supreme Court, because we take a very small percentage of the cases that actually get filed. But it takes hours and hours to really dig in and fully understand not only what happened before, but also what the decision will mean for the cases that come after.
Well, I have to tell you, the honor is ours to have you on tonight with Behind the Bench. And we want you on that Supreme Court, and we want you leading that Supreme Court. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
All right. We'll be right back just after this with Behind the Bench. Caller.
Behind the Bench with Todd Flood. What are the most important cases being considered? And who are the judges and attorneys who can explain it to you? You've come to the right place. Once again, here's the person bringing it all to you, Todd Flood.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I was talking to Link there probably a little bit. You know, you might have caught that. But one of my favorite people of all time, because we have kids the same age, is Judge Valentine from Oakland County Circuit Court. Judge, you with us?
I am.
Well, that's good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
God. I'm working too hard. I'm killing myself, you know, working for a living just like everyone else. But I don't know.
I know, and at 7:30, you're still working.
You have to go at it, Judge.
There's no rest for the wicked, Judge.
No rest for the wicked. And Miss Battersby, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. That's really a surprise and a wonderful opportunity to speak with you and your listeners.
Well, you know, we keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and no one better to have on than you, because I think you're one of the best jurists in Oakland County Circuit Court. I'm not saying that I haven't appeared in front of you. I've just know all of my colleagues and friends, and everyone says that gets in front of you on either side of this aisle will say, good, we got a fair judge.
I've appeared in front of her. I can co-sign that from the experience.
I think she would kick my tuchus.
If it needs to be.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Judge, are you a harsh judge?
I don't think so. I think I'm a very fair judge. I want to hear everything. I don't have any preconceptions of how a case should be decided one way or the other. I want to hear all of the evidence, and I want to make the right decision, and I want to do it based on the law and the facts. And there's times that I've been wrong and someone brings me a reconsideration and I don't have a problem overturning myself.
God bless you.
Yep.
Can't we have everyone like her?
Yes, we need
Yeah,
to.
yeah. All right. So listen, Maura is, she said, "Hey, Flood, this is, a month for women, right? And who are the most important women, that are out there?" And we just had Chief Justice on, uh, uh, from the Supreme Court, and now we have one of the best judges from our Oakland County Circuit Courts. Who in your life was a mentor to you on the female side of the aisle? And I'm going to ask you a surprise question. Mount Rushmore. If you had to put women up on Mount Rushmore, which we should,
We
I
should.
think we should have a Mount Rushmore.
Or something cooler.
Better.
Yeah, better.
Who would you do? Who would you put up there? And who was a mentor to you that inspired you?
So I think I have different categories of who really I look to for shaping. So there was people who mold you, like my mother and my father. And my father was a lawyer, very ethical, amazing person.
Sure.
Really made me understand the value of hard work still to this day. We'd work together, and if I came to him with a question, he would not answer it until I could prove to him that I've done my own research and have put in the time and the effort to get the education from whatever the question was. So
I need your father at my firm.
He is the most amazing thing. Working for him honestly shaped me as a lawyer, as a jurist, as a person. My mom, which was, of course, the other half of the household that really kind of put the heavy hand down, told you what you're going to do. You spent a lot of time with your mom, sometimes when your dad was at work. So she really shaped me with her ethical outlook on everything, her ability to say, give another person a chance, just always rerouting you into being open-minded and thinking clearly about different people, different things and opportunities and what you should take away with it. So both of my parents were amazing. I have two sisters who are absolutely teach me something every single day.
That's awesome.
Every
Sisters.
day.
They
That's-
are amazing. Do you know the
and-
other Valentine sisters?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh, they're incredible.
Really?
They are
Yes.
incredible. Yes.
What do
they're
they
incredible.
do?
My one sister, she has some real estate, so she helps run real estate. My other sister is the director of child advocacy at MSU Law School.
Oh, wow.
She also has
yeah.
a foundation that she works with on vaccines and understanding the I Vaccinate. So they both do something every day that inspires me, and that I would put them on Mount Rushmore as well. Judge Amy Hathaway. She was the first person that I worked for.
That's the best.
Wait, who's this?
Yeah, who's that? Judge Amy
On the
Hathaway. I
other
love her.
side-
That's my judge.
Yes. So on the other side of what I learned was the bench, was the attorneys who practice, and then the judges who were the jurists. I worked for Judge Amy Hathaway, and it was such an amazing experience. Seeing how she internalized things, made decisions, was so kind to people, was just understood where people were coming from, even when you have to make hard decisions, but letting people have the respect and the dignity, even when it didn't go their way.
Amen.
So she was an absolutely amazing person to watch. And of course, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she was amazing, trailblazer. Rosa Parks, absolutely inspiring.
There's one. Yeah, for sure.
Aaron Brockovich. I mean, people know Aaron Brockovich. That was an amazing story.
Oh yeah, I'm into that
touched on the
selection.
law.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then day to day, I have the lawyers who come in front of me, maybe a witness, maybe it's a victim, maybe it's a defendant, but people who come before you and are standing up for their rights or are advocating a position or are doing something that really inspires you because maybe you look at other people and say, would they do that? And so just the force and the hurting of people being kind to each other, pushing for being better no matter what, and having the courage to stand up for things or to, push subjects or thought process with other people, it's all amazing to me.
That's so cool.
Yeah, having people that push the dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Maybe change some opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
And just have
amazing.
the opinion.
You know, she's amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
You guys are amazing.
I think she came onto the show when she was first running for a spot.
I hope so.
What year was that? How long have you been on
What,
the bench?
2016?
Yeah, 2016. I think I was seated in 17. So I think I'm on my 8th year. I was appointed to the business court bench a couple years ago, and now just reappointed to 2030. I absolutely love it.
How did we get you on the
business court.
Supreme Court?
Well, you'd have to run for the Supreme Court, or I guess you could get an appointment. And I really love what I'm doing. I really love where I'm at. I love being in the trenches. I love working with the other lawyers and having, like right now, I'm in a jury trial on a criminal case. It's amazing to me to see the advocacy come in front of me. So
That's great.
I love seeing it from the level where you're at the groundwork. But I mean, you have great people at the Court of Appeals, great people at the Supreme Court, and I'm sure that they really enjoyed their position.
Well, that's such a great point, right? Because they're vastly different positions. I think people think like, oh, it's a judge, and so that's the same thing. But an appellate court judge has a vastly different job than a trial court judge.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say this though, not all judges are created equal. Right? I've been in front of some judges. I'm like, oh my God, you're really on the bench? I mean, seriously? But then you come into the Judge Valentine, or you come into our chief judge that we just talked with, right?
Yep.
And you're just like in awe, and you know, it's amazing. But the ones that care, the ones that really care, that make a difference, like Judge Valentine, you're in the trenches. You get to see the advocacy. You get to see lawyers go at it that care. And you can tell, you know, when they're in front of you, and you know when they're throwing everything out, and they've done their research and know their facts, know how to cross-examine, know how to do a direct examination. You have to love that doing what you do. And I'm sure you've had your fair share of lawyers that you admire that have come in front of you.
I do. I have a lot of lawyers that you love that are seasoned, that prepare, and I love the new lawyers that come in and they're ready and they're scared, and they put their all in and they do fantastic.
I love that too.
So I love
do
seeing
too.
our future judges and our future Supreme Court justices. I love seeing the newer lawyers come in and really show off their skills and how hard they've tried and how much they can be trusted, you know, with the positions that they're in. And it's amazing.
That's
You know,
inspirational.
That reminds me also of something our shared mentor, Judge Amy Hathaway said, right? Which is that she always told me that it was important to take care of the lawyers, be good to the lawyers so that they can be at their best.
Right.
Support them.
Lawyers
in
have
that.
really hard jobs.
Yeah.
They really do. And that's why, you know, when we're coming up to trial, I don't fool around pretending you're going to trial if you're not. I have it published online. Are you going to trial? Call the person in front of you. I'm not trying to pull any games on anybody. I want you guys to be prepared. I want you to be well rested. I want you to have your time with your family. I want you to have your vacations. I don't want to take anything away, because you're at your best when we all work together for justice.
Ugh.
You know what? I must tell you, you are a breath of fresh air, and I love the fact that people of the state of Michigan have you on the Oakland County Circuit Court bench.
You're here.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
cheers
Thank
to
you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We'll
Thanks
be
for
back.
everything you guys do.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back just after this with Behind the Bench.
You're listening to Behind the Bench with Todd Flood. If it's a question of law and it's in the news, you'll learn about it on Behind the Bench. Once again, here's Todd.
You know, I got to tell you, Maura, when I was an assistant prosecutor, there were so many amazing women that were mentors to me. Lisa Lindsay just comes off the top of my head. There were so many great female assistant prosecutors that I learned so much from. You know, Kim Worthy. I mean, I learned she was an amazing. I had one of my biggest cases ever. She was a judge at the time, but I watched her try cases as an assistant prosecutor. But I will say this: the women in my life as lawyers were so impactful as a prosecutor.
Yeah.
You can't. There was this indelible imprint in my brain of how to be a lawyer based on some of those things that the most important people in my life were these women. And
Yeah,
you know,
same.
first pop off, you know, is Lisa, and you know, many more. We have with us tonight, I will say, is going to be the next Attorney General. I'm proud to say that, but that doesn't mean she's not running like, you know, incredibly hard. We have Karen McDonald, the Oakland County prosecutor, another amazing lady in our world of
Absolutely.
women. You know, Karen, are you with us?
I am. Good evening.
Good evening. So I know, you know, I thank you first and foremost for coming on tonight. And I know you're like every day working 300 different jobs. I have to ask you because time is of the essence. Who was a big impact in your life as a, you know, becoming a prosecutor, becoming a judge in the world of women that inspired you?
You know, I mean, Kim Worthy's right up there. That's for sure. Particularly being a lead in leadership and being the top law enforcement official in Oakland County, really relied on her and the strength and courage that she has every day. But I too had really great role models in my office. A lot of really great trial lawyers and prosecutors. I remember watching now Judge Gorsucha, but then Lisa Gorsucha try
Sure.
cases. And, you know, I think the everyday people who show up in my office and all around me, women who are juggling so much, even if they're not in a leadership position, you know, they're moms and they're wives and they're showing up for their families. And I think that's why, you know, we do a good job multitasking because we have to, and being able to be a role model for women in my office about you can show up for your family and your kids and still do your job, and offer grace and flexibility. You know, they will pay you back 100 times over. And
Amen.
that's, you know, that's what I always wanted.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, and I was telling more of this earlier, that we had Chief Justice Kavanaugh on the line, and I think what you just said resonates to me anyway, because it is you're pulling off, and men don't get this concept. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think
Maybe
some
some do. But Karen, you know, hits a chord. It's a full-time times 10 job being a mom and working.
Well, because it's all the tabs going on in the back of your mind. You're trying to do your job, and then you have all these other things you're thinking about, right? Like the summer
Like
camp
what's for dinner.
signups and what's for dinner and all that. And actually, I just had was on a panel at the University of Detroit Mercy, and one of the things I said was choose wisely, right? If you want to have a family and a partner, choose wisely, right? I don't have to think about dinner as often because my husband makes dinner, right?
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot going on at all times.
Yeah, no, I get it. And then running for AG now, and I know this is not a curse. I'm just saying you're going to be AG. All right.
Okay.
So,
Well, I don't, my mindset is always focused on, you know, working as hard as I can.
you're going to.
And I'm still doing, you know, I really care about the job I have. It's very important. So,
And you do it well. You do it amazingly
I'm
well.
still doing that, and also traveling around the state. But my job as the prosecutor is 24/7, and it doesn't matter where I am. I'm I'm available and I'm making really important decisions. I will say too, like, one of the things behind the scenes that people don't really see is, how much I work to make sure that I'm the boss I wish I had, coming up in the legal profession, as I was I was a mother as an associate at a large law firm, and becoming a partner, and then as a judge. And what I really wanted was an opportunity to still care and prioritize about my job as a mom, and being there for my family, and also being, showing up and doing my best in the workplace, and not having that impact how people perceived me. And so I work really hard to make sure that the women in my office as assistant prosecutors have that flexibility when they need it. And I really didn't have that growing up. You sort of had to, pretend like you didn't have children. And that whole adage about, like, look at that dad, he's leaving at 4 o'clock to go to the game. Isn't he a great dad? And the moms are always doing that, but they're usually just not saying that's where they're going.
Yeah, but they're maligned for it, right?
Exactly. There she goes again.
Oh my.
Yep.
Oh, get off early, do you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I love what you're saying, because that's one of my philosophies too, right? I think you can go nobody did this for me, so I don't have to do it for the people behind me.
And we know women that do make that choice, which is
unfortunate. We all do, unfortunately. And you can go I want to be the mentor that I wish I had. And I love that's
right.
that's something that you are cognizant of and really working on. That's incredible.
Right. I mean, the things that we had to do to just sort of these gymnastics around, like, okay, how do I come back from a maternity leave and still I'm a nursing mom? And how do I make sure I'm showing up for all these things that my kids need me there for? And usually that means you're just working late hours after they go to bed.
Right.
And, I think it's going to take is just more women in leadership, more women in positions where they do understand how important it is that we keep making progress. I mean, everything that I'm doing in my life, from like voting and being able to go to law school and hold elected office, it's all because women before us, for generations and generations, fought to get those rights.
Absolutely.
And we can't let our foot off the gas.
Well, I think everyone needs to be cognizant of exactly how big the struggle is. And the more you speak about it, the bigger it becomes, the more understanding it gets. Because quite candidly, you have to nurse, you have to raise a child, and you have to go through that portion of it.
And you want to be the parent that stays home when your kid is sick. Right?
But mentally,
and it's great if you have a partner that will do that too. But there are just things that we as women want to be able to do. And we have to provide that opportunity in the workplace.
Absolutely.
And I think part of it too is that admitting that my male coworkers also want to be really involved parents, and that, that's an important role that everybody plays. I had a super nurturing father who was really, really involved in that way. And I think the more that we can just talk about how, parents just all want to be involved and active parents, and make it really, like, why is that a women's issue and not, just a parent's issue, right? So I think that hopefully we're making some changes. I see that with I
totally agree. That's the understanding part of it.
Yes,
right? That has to be a two-way street. It can't be a one-way street.
Well,
it's got to be a two-way street.
But you have to follow through in saying that, that is not, like, for instance, I do a lot of these initiatives and messaging in my office. And what I found was the men took to it immediately. You're right. I do want to go to that game and that leave early for this and that. Yeah. I still didn't have women that were as open about that, because it's really hard to unlearn, this,
for sure,
this experience of, like, okay, if I do this, I'm going to be viewed in a different light.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Totally get it. So let me ask you this. You got one mentor that you would put on Mount Rushmore, a lady in your life. You have one national one that you think of that inspired the world. Maybe Ruth Bader Ginsburg or Sandra Day O'Connor, or who would be up there? I Rosa Parks. I thought that was a great answer by
Such a
Judge,
great answer. Yep.
Judge Valentine. Yeah. Who would you put up there on the national side of, someone that made an impact and someone in your personal life that you would put up there?
I think in my personal life, it's my sisters who work really hard, and
Sure.
I've always leaned on, and both are very accomplished. Nationally, I think, I'm going back to like the suffragettes, man. Like, got us the right to vote. I don't know where we'd be without them. So
That's right.
True.
We love you. Thanks
you
for
so
coming
much.
on.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you so
talk to you
much.
soon.
Okay, bye.
We'll be back next time with Behind the Bench. Thanks for having us.
Indeed.